No more is the corruption evident than in the field of patents and copyrights. A patent is designed to enable the benefits of an invention to be restricted for a limited time, ensuring an adequate opportunity for the holder to profit. Patents are not intended as a mechanism to restrict competition by creating a monopoly in allied, not directly related products, by frightening off investment funding for alternative ventures, or to cause the opposition to fail through such mechanisms. A patent must be useful, and again there is a need for reasonableness in the interpretation. A minor invention, or modification may be useful to the single product, but fighting major wars with very expensive lawyers with the sole intention of breaking the opposition financially is not how the system is designed to operate. President Washington, you will recall I said to the convention that when you assemble a number of men to have the advantage of their wisdom, you assemble with those men all their prejudice, their passions, their errors of opinion, their local interest, and their selfish views. Nevertheless, for the sake of conciliation and compromise they put their names to our Constitution. Now I look around me at what is happening to our Constitution today. The rising sun that I perceived that day appears to be setting.
Mr. Franklin, you refer to the rising sun. Do you have Japanese affiliations? Are you an American citizen?
The subject of copyright is extremely disturbing to me. It would seem the United States legislature has created an impossible legal maze, where the purpose of copyright has been usurped and transposed into a control mechanism and revenue source for what I believe are known as corporate organizations. We even deem to demand our legislation overrides the legislation of other sovereign nations, so that their legislation and courts are subservient to us. We have become bullies.
I'm not a fool. I looked it up in the dictionary. A bully is a person using strength or power to hurt or coerce others by intimidation. I have never, ever seen this administration conduct itself in such a manner.
Truly, we are no better, perhaps even worse than King George, and our people deserve better from our government.
King George? That's a Scotch whiskey, isn't it?
We conveniently forget the 11th Amendment on judicial limits, and misinterpret, for monetary gain, Section 8, the powers of Congress. This states on the subject of copyright, to promote the progress of science and useful arts, by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. It does not empower us by judicial interpretation to nullify the people's right to free speech and to unilaterally extend, or perpetuate this limited time over the whole world, simply to provide a revenue stream for United States corporate empires. The American people may just as well throw away the Constitution I helped draft. Today we are governed by what I can only describe as nitpickers and legislative prostitutes. The integrity of those who drafted the Constitution is sorely lacking in America today. The United States Constitution is in need of revision. If it remains the same, we may soon begin identifying those who interpret it, for their own benefit, as being similar to King George and his treatment of his North American colonies.
I'm sorry for being bitchy. Listening to Adam and Ben, they seem to have the morality of Roy Rogers, John Wayne, and the Lone Ranger. It's kinda sweet. Maybe we should give it a try? We can't do any worse than we do at the moment.
James Watt designed and enhanced devices that improved the quality of life. They improved the power of steam to drive the Industrial Revolution, making for a better world. They revolutionized industry, including ships, locomotives, mines, and production operations. They increased the amount of power available for processing operations to previously unimaginable heights. Intercontinental trade was restructured by the use of steamships, independent of the vagaries of the wind. Lands were developed by the creation of railroads, opening them up to access and trade the resources. New production processes were established and new useful products found their way into the marketplace.
You're being too good to me. I just had an idea one night, that's all.
Efficient downstream manufacturing became a reality. Without the inventions of James Watt, we would be in a much more elementary position in the provision of goods today. The most important factor was that James's main invention was born out of a genuine need for a product. The steam engine made it possible to do the impossible, because work was no longer constrained by the strength of horses or men. It meant real development could be achieved with great social benefits. The difference today is that much of our world manufacturing is set up just to utilize resources, both human and material. There is no real need for the products themselves. The products are often more toys than things that enhance a better life. They are purchased as a result of advertising pressure. The driving force for these products is the political need to put people in any form of employment. We need to concentrate our resources on useful things, and only useful things.
Oh, it's a crying shame that they do things like that. There's no need for it.
James, I'm not sure this is such an evil. Surely the hope of being able to purchase and enjoy these goods is a spur to labor and industry. On the other hand, if a nation exports its necessities to pay for the importation of these trinkets, it is no different to the drunkard who lets his family starve to pay for his drink.
Consider how we can afford much better medical and education facilities if we redirect the money and labour we waste on these trinkets to products that have real value to a community. We can employ the same people there, fulfilling the political need, but creating real value for the community. So thank you, gentlemen, for your input. Now, let's see if those of the 21st century have the vision and understanding of what needs to be done that you exhibited in the 18th century. Oh, Adam, I hope they're better politicians than they're dancers. The conclusion by our statesmen and women is that growth is needed.
Why do we need growth? So that we create more of the same problems.
A growth rate of 2% means an extra 2% of all the things we are unhappy with. Where does it get us? Nowhere.
In reality, we only need growth so that we can increase the transfer of wealth to those in financial power. The more we spend, the more we pay them.
They tell us what to buy with our money, where to buy it, and they charge us just for the privilege of having done so. They do this by controlling where we can buy, what products they will allow us to buy, and setting unrealistically high prices for their products.
Naturally, if we have to borrow to comply with their requirements, then we pay even more in credit card charges, or bank loans. Growth in our view is the process of siphoning money from those who have little to those who have far too much.
They don't care what type of jobs this growth may create.
All they want is people with money in their pockets so that they can relieve it from them.
Now, you might think that any money in the pocket is better than none at all.
There are good people out there who don't have the ability to improve themselves a great deal. But it's not their fault. They were born that way.
Aye, putting them in a low-paid job with the costs associated with this may cause their position to be considerably worse. How does a single mother with a young child deal with that? She doesn't.
From a humanitarian viewpoint, she is better being supported at a low level by the state without the cost and the traumas of trying to look after her child.
It is then up to the state to train, create, and guide her off the support. To do this, they need to create real jobs that have real value and into which many people can successfully slot.
But the thing the world leaders fail to notice, because it flies directly into the wind of their ideas, is that there are too many people on the planet. In the past, diseases decimated populations, wars killed off many others.
A woman may have had a dozen children just in the hope that one or two would survive.
Today we don't experience these things. Rapid expansion of the population as we have it today creates a bigger problem than it solves.
On one hand, our leaders encourage women to seek equality with men, to strive to get to the top of their employment opportunities, and to succeed as women have never done before.
On the other hand, they encourage having children, not for any reason than these children will via their parents from day one need their loans, their credit, their goods and services. They see this as potential growth and profit.
Many women get to the stage of their careers where they are achieving great things and are very happy with their situation.
The problem is often that they are limited by their need to look after their families. It goes against the grain to say this, but many women are much better at business people than at mothers. So why should they be hamstrung by convention?
In general, if we encourage people to restrict the population levels, instead of creating another 2 billion people over the next 50 years or so, then we don't need to be so concerned about the effects of climate change. You can work it out quite easily.
2 billion less mouths to feed each day, 2 billion less products to manufacture, 2 billion less discharges down into the sewerage works, 2 billion people needing less fossil fuels for their comfort. We could go on and on.
The solution to most of our problems is simply efficient population planning and demonstrating the benefit people can claim if they keep the population under control.
Modern medicine makes this a painless thing to do.
Start talking about these things and you might be surprised at how much you can achieve by nothing more than discussions with co-workers and friends. And for Australians, I'll let Ben paraphrase one of his earlier thoughts.
The trade agreement between China and Australia only guarantees the right to free trade. You have to win the business yourself. That may be much, much more difficult than you ever imagined. Beware of those who give too much away in negotiations. They may have a very different agenda to you.